Delighted to say that joining us again on the We Are West Ham podcast is sports journalist and massive Saints fan James Beavis to look ahead to that FA Cup game at St Mary's Wednesday night, 7:30 in the fifth round, West Ham v Southampton. James, great to have you on the show once again. Before we get into the nitty gritty of the game and your cup run so far and all that sort of thing, how do you feel your season's going at the moment? Utterly baffling as an outsider. Southampton there doesn't seem to be anywhere in between. They're either massive crisis, Hasenhüttl needs to be sacked because he's inept and doesn't know what he's doing, and you're definitely going down, or there's no in between of mediocrity. It's that, or we're probably going to get in the Europa League.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty nicely there. I think when I came on this, I think it's back in September, wasn't it? I was pretty negative. I think we hadn't won a game so far in the season, and things have certainly changed, especially the last 2 months or so, I'd say. Probably since that West Ham game on Boxing Day, actually.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we've been just been much improved. I think you're not sort of far wrong, really. I mean, I think 2021 as a calendar year, we were, I think, either the third or fourth best team across the whole Premier League.
It's
And
crazy,
then,
isn't it?
yeah, sorry, no, 2020. Sorry, that was 2021.
Yeah.
Last year, we were probably third or fourth bottom of the over the calendar year. So yeah, it is. You're right. It seems to be just ups and downs, but we're certainly on a big up at the moment. And a lot of that is down to maybe sort of the bigger squad that we've got now. We seem to have sort of quality players that can come in most positions now, which maybe we haven't really had before. Obviously, the young players that we've brought in have pretty much hit the ground running, as well, as I'm sure we'll talk about at some point
Yeah,
during this.
sure.
But yeah, it's just things are just going right. We've got sort of settled starting 11 at the moment. Everyone seems to know their roles and they're playing it really well at the moment. We've got momentum. We've got really good confidence just throughout the squad at the moment as well. So yeah, we're in a good place right now. But I guess knowing sort of life under Hasenhüttl, there'll be a big downer at some point soon as well.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I'm not sure. I can't really figure out whether Southampton are and should be like the poster boys for long term faith in a manager. I mean, I flipped from thinking Hasenhüttl's absolutely brilliant and wonderful for the Premier League to completely sort of just apathetic towards him, just thinking he doesn't bring much. When he's like pumping his chest and crying when you beat Tottenham the other week, I'm like, what a bloke! Like, what a man to be leading your club! Like, phenomenal stuff. And then sometimes, especially when you're bad, I'm just like, yeah, he obviously is the dinosaur. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's so like what you mentioned the big squad there, but what is it? Is it a good thing that you've stuck with him for so long? Because it's quite unusual, isn't it, to see a manager peak and trough like he does and kind of just ride it all out. The tendency of pro clubs these days is to just sack people as soon as it's going bad. Is it just Southampton an example that ultimately football clubs go up and down slightly, particularly ones with budgets a similar sort of size to West Ham and Southampton's, obviously outside that top six bracket or whatever? Do you were you ever calling for him to go, or how do you view him?
I mean, you sort of you hit the nail on the head there a little bit because of his sort of how emotional he is. I think the fans have like really taken to him. It's probably a little bit of a similar situation to Bielsa at Leeds as well. I guess Klopp at Liverpool. He is very likable, and I think at times it's probably saved him. I guess the second 9-0 was when fans began to sort of, have their doubts, me included, because, even though you go down to 10 men after, I don't know, it's just over a minute, wasn't it? Then that's the point where, you put, a defender on, an extra midfielder on, take a striker off, which he didn't do actually on the day. But, but what I will say is that I think he's learned a lot of lessons. Especially after those 2 9-0s, especially after sort of the real sort of lows that we hit last year, 2021. He's learned a lot. We're a lot sort of tactically more, or he's, sorry, a lot more tactically aware now. We've got a lot of different systems we use, where it used to be sort of primarily the 4-2-2-2. We're very sort of easily adaptable now, and we can the players are comfortable sort of quickly switching to different formations. It's definitely made a big difference. But yeah, he's certainly he's a lot more savvy now than he was. I know it took
Yeah, a
quite a
bit more
while.
flexible almost.
Yeah, definitely. I know
Yeah.
it did take quite a while. We're sort of 3.5 years into his reign now, but it was definitely a good idea to stick with him. When it comes to Southampton Football Club, we're not going to get better than Hasenhüttl. We've got to remember that he came
Yeah.
from a Champions League team, a team that finished second in the Bundesliga. It has taken him a while to get his ideas across, and it's probably partly down to the quality of the squad. Because again, we've got to remember that before Hasenhüttl came, we were basically had 2-3 years where we were surviving just in
Yeah,
the Premier
yeah.
League. So
Yeah, of course.
and he hasn't really been able to strengthen and pay big sort of money for players as well. But as I said, I have mentioned him adapting as well. And one of the big things, I think, sort of his early days at the club, he always sort of said, "Oh, I like to work with a smaller squad." Um, but I think he sort of soon realised that maybe that wasn't the best idea. And basically, his big aim last summer was to strengthen the squad and have a big enough squad to work with, because the style of football, you can't have a squad of 18 players and play that style of football. I guess
Mm.
again, it's sort of picking up on Leeds, maybe a club that have realised that this year. But yeah, we've got that big squad now. We've got a lot of quality. We've got it's quality in depth as well. So there's players that are sort of waiting in the wings that are really pushing the people in the starting 11 to
Yeah, yeah.
perform better as well. It's just all sort of coming together. Obviously, we had the takeover at the start of January as well, which seems to have added like a bit of extra sort of spice and
So for those who don't know, James, who was that
yeah.
sort of took over?
So a man called Dragan Salak. So it sort of came a bit out of the blue. There's been a
What a
lot of
name that is,
sort of,
by the way.
oh yeah, yeah. So there's been a lot of talk about sort of takeovers in the background for a long time with us. So our previous owner, Gal, he basically, well, he took over a few years ago now, but he basically didn't put any of his own money in. So the
Right,
club
right.
was sort of forced to spend, whatever they brought in. But yeah, the takeover finally happened. It all happened very quickly, actually, at the start of January. It's gone for, and there just seems to be sort of an extra sort of bounce and momentum, I guess, around the club since then. I don't think it's any surprise that the results on the pitch have been just really improved probably since that day.
Mm.
Yeah, it's all coming together right now, and probably not a good time for West Ham to be playing us. But
No, well, absolutely not. I mean,
probably,
we'll
probably
move
live.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
I
on.
mean, you're ninth in the league now. If you win your game in hand, you only be 7 points behind us. And with the games left to play, it's sort of a club quietly going around their business on the up. Move on to that FA Cup game this Wednesday night. Then St Mary's. What was your sort of initial reaction when you saw the draw come out? We'd obviously beaten, or just about struggled to beat, Kidderminster Harriers. You beat Coventry 2-1 in the previous round and won 3-2 away at Swansea with 10 men
Yeah.
in the third round. How did you react then after, say, beating Coventry the last round when West Ham at home came out the hat?
Happy with a home draw. Not so much for getting West Ham, because we know what a solid Premier League team West Ham are under Moyes now. So yeah, happy with the home tie, because we're unbeaten in 11 home matches in all competitions now. One defeat in 13 Premier League games this season. So I mean, again, we talked about Hasenhüttl before. I mean, our home form was one of our real weaknesses, sort of under his sort of early reign, and in a complete turnaround this season. It's like St Mary's is a fortress now. So yeah, definitely happy with a home tie. Not so pleased with West Ham, because, as I said, we know West Ham are a solid Premier League team. We could have got a better draw probably with some of the other clubs, but I think it'll be a good game actually. West Ham flying high. But yeah, we're in good form ourselves, so it should be a good match. Saying all of that, I guess the last two games between us have been 0-0, so
Yeah.
hopefully it's a little bit more exciting than that.
Yeah, that is true, mate. That is true. So, what do you expect, sort of style wise, a bit, but more like how's Hasenhüttl going to approach the game? Is it like a high priority? What sort of squad do you expect, or team do you expect him to put out strength wise?
It's a tough one really, because we've got Villa on Saturday, and it's hard to know whether he's going to sort of prioritise league or cup. To be honest,
Hmm.
from what he's sort of commented before, he's always sort of suggested that the best chance, obviously, of us winning a trophy is to go for the FA Cup. He's named, I think it's 2 unchanged teams in a row now. I I would hope that he's going to do the same, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he did bring in maybe 2 or 3 players to sort of mix it up a little bit. Because as I said, we have got players sort of pushing for a place in the 11. People like Jack Stevens, Roman Perraud, Ibrahima Diallo. I wouldn't be surprised if those started, but also I hope he goes for sort of this 11 that's playing at the moment because it's in such good form. 2 clean sheets in a row. We look like we've got goals in us. So yeah, I'm hoping he sticks, but wouldn't be surprised if there are a couple of changes.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. So, as far as the style goes, and you mentioned how flexible he's been with his system against a team like West Ham, who, our home form's been the sticky point this season. We look good away. I'm not sure. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe we've still earned more points away from home in the Prem this season than we have at home. I think that sort of suits our style. That willingness to let the opposition have the ball. Happy to sit back a bit and counter-attack. The performances particularly have been sticky, is the polite way of saying it. The past 4 or 5 fixtures or whatever, obviously got that vital win against Wolves at the weekend. What sort of style, how do you expect the game to play out, or hasn't to approach it sort of tactically against the Hammers?
Yeah, so I think it might be different from the game earlier in the season. I think we weren't really on the front foot in that game. I expect it to be a little bit different. I expect us to sort of push like sort of from the very first whistle. Basically, that's sort of what we do. Where the players will. It's an intense style. The players will do the high press when it's necessary. So, I mean, even though we are doing well at the moment, there's definitely times when we can be caught on the counter for sure because the centre backs are told to push right up. Obviously, we saw the Salisu red card against. I'm forgetting who it was now, but it is basically from him sort of pushing right up. I think it's Spurs actually, wasn't it? He sort of pushed right up on the halfway line and got a booking, and then I think he took down Son in the first half after that and got a red card. So the centre backs are certainly told to press up high. So there is going to be a chance probably to counter attack us, and if you've got enough quality with those sort of attacking players, there's definitely goals to be had there. I think. We've definitely got a bit lucky against Norwich and Everton in the last 2 games on a couple of occasions where that their finishing sort of kept us, sort of kept the clean sheet there. But yeah, we'll definitely be a little bit more on the front foot than I think we were probably for the previous game at St Mary's. I guess maybe more like the away game on Boxing Day. I expect us to sort of come out quite strongly because that's what we've been doing at home this year, and it's worked pretty well. So I don't really see why there would be a change there.
Yeah. I think it's one of those when the draw was first made from a West Ham perspective, I think everyone's like, okay, that could have been worse. I think that's just that. As long as you avoid the huge teams, you sort of think, oh, that's not so bad. But the closer it's come to the game, the more people are sort of sitting up and noticing your form. I think there's a real thing among West Ham fans that go, we'll do well to get through this. This could be a big style banana skin. And I think from a squad point of view, David Moyes, we've just been drawn against Sevilla in the Europa League. I mean, I'm absolutely so excited for the game. I know so many fans are against such a big team, having not got, we haven't even got to the group stage of Europa League before this season, let alone a knockout stage against a team with such a pedigree in Europe, this tournament in particular. So with that coming up, we're still even though we've been off the last few weeks, we're still floating around there in the league. We're certainly in the running for another Europa League spot again. The top 4, I'd never really bought into that anyway, but we're still in the fight for that top 6 places. So I get the impression that David Moyes genuinely we haven't got a big squad anyway, so there's not loads of room for resting players, but it's certainly going to be the third priority of the season for us. However, you said that about the League Cup. We beat Man City at home and lost in that competition for 5 years. Went to Old Trafford and won for the first time for 15 years it was. And then we're unlucky to lose away to Tottenham. We got a load of stinker draws and had a good run in that. And Moyes still played fairly strong teams because he's got no choice. And which I think fans like. He does take the competitions, all of them that we're in, seriously. So it's certainly not going to be a under 19s West Ham team that goes out. I would imagine there'll be one or two changes, but he's fairly limited with where he can change anyway. And most of the players, bar Yarmolenko, who's not even involved at the moment because of the Ukraine stuff, are there or thereabouts first 11 quality anyway. So, I'm just shaping up to be a good game for sure. James, it's been brilliant having you on the show again. We appreciate you giving us your time as always. Just before we let you go then, that game Wednesday night at St Mary's. West Ham United v Southampton in the 5th round of the FA Cup. What's your score prediction?
Yeah, I think I am confident because of how well we're playing at the moment. Of my sort of viewing of West Ham is that they seem a bit, I don't know, just in a bit of a sort of tired sort of moment. I might be wrong, but I'm going to say 1-0 Saints. I think it'll be close again as usual, but I think we might just nick it. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to go 2-2. I think I'll just extra time, I reckon, and then anyone's really.
Yeah, to be fair, our last 2 rounds have gone to extra time, so that wouldn't be a shot.
Yeah, no, I just think if we can get anything, it's just like we're looking slightly better in front of goal. Not great, still a little bit sort of sluggish going forward, but as long as we can stay tight at the back, which I think we'll be all right. Another low scorer, maybe 1-2, or might have been a bit ambitious. Maybe we'll switch it to 1-0. But look, James, it's been brilliant having you on, sports journalist and big Saints fan James Beavis, joining us on the We Are West Ham podcast to look ahead to that FA Cup game at Southampton on Wednesday. James, brilliant to have you join us. Thanks very much. And